I am all by myself in the woods. 2 days, 2 nights out in the Ventana Wilderness, getting deeper in the woods. So that could have been a really bad day. A little bit of an embarrassing moment. I'm starving for breakfast. There are some footprints. Just have to be wary of their presence. I'm loving this campsite. Hey everybody, Adam here. Today I find myself in Big Sur, California. Here's the situation. I plan to do 2 days and 2 nights of backpacking and hammock camping. Got a pretty good start to the day so far. Plenty of daylight that we have. Just getting stuff packed up, finishing up some breakfast. To start, this trailhead has you actually have to register at a box over here. It's $10 per night. So I got my money dropped off in the box. Right at the trailhead you have to put in your registration on where you plan to go. So now that's taken care of, I'm gonna finish up everything here and get out on the trail. The trail I'm doing is called Pine Ridge Trail. This trail has been closed for about 5 years due to a wildfire that ravaged the area. It has since recently been reopened to the public, so it's starting to become a bit more popular, and I wanted to come here during the week where it wasn't as populated. I seem to be the only one really out here. There's a couple of cars in the parking lot. It's early Friday, so we'll see if we run into anyone while we're out there. It's always good to check the board before you go. There seems to be a couple of alerts, bears in the area, and a couple of water crossings. We're gonna see what kind of adventure we run into today. I'm just excited to be out here. This has been on my list for quite a long time. Right now I'm following a reroute for the Pine Ridge Trail, so headed down this road through the campsite for a little bit. So a little bit of a embarrassing moment. I walked right past this. I didn't see it the first time, but here's the trail, and now we're gonna get started. Funny thing is, I walked around this whole campsite for like 20 minutes. So now that I got a good warm up in, let's get started on the trail, shall we? The lows that I'm expecting tonight are gonna be in the 40s, but I'm prepared. I got my new hammock gear, 40-degree quilt with a sewn-in footbox. So despite how cold and windy that it may get, I think that we'll be prepared to deal with the temps and quite possibly some precipitation. So far, it's been absolutely beautiful. Forest everywhere, serene, pristine. A nice, beautiful breeze in the trees. It's so relaxing. I brought my hammock. It's a new hammock actually, from Dutch Wear Gear. So this is the first test of setting it up. Usually that is not recommended, but we'll be testing a lot of new equipment. I'm excited to show you what that's all about. So we'll just play it by ear. You can always tell when you get further from the trail, there's less human noises and more nature sounds. Haven't seen too many animals yet, but the smell of pine is in the air. I'm loving it. Love being out here and can't wait to enjoy these woods. What's really interesting is this is actually part of the Los Padres National Forest. So what that means is the boundaries of the forest come all the way from Ventura all the way up here. Los Padres Wilderness is absolutely huge, and I'm excited to explore this section of it. Finally broke the trees, headed back up on this little ridge line here. Saw a couple people out today, not too many. It is Friday after all. Getting deeper in the woods. The smell of pine is in the air. Definitely smells like Christmas again. Oh, luckily there's no snow forecasted for this trip and no freezing temperatures. I still have a long way to go. I hope I can get to the campsite before sunsets. As with my last trips, it's always a race against time before the light goes away. I'm not super worried. I should be able to find it in the dark. The weather that I'm dealing with right now, it's in the 50s with a little bit of a wind, fairly consistent. Now I'm in the shade of the forest. You can definitely tell it is a little bit cooler and a little bit more damp than I'm used to. You can see evidence of fire damage all around this trail. So whenever that fire was, must have been pretty bad because all of these trees are singed with leftover burn marks. And we are entering the Ventana Wilderness. I'm hearing all sorts of bird noises out here. It's quite peaceful. I'm hearing birds I've never even heard of before. It just makes you think how many species we haven't even discovered yet. Out here, you just feel absolutely secluded. It gets so quiet, you hear everything around you. In some spots, you can even hear your own heartbeat, which can be a little unsettling, but if you aren't used to that kind of silence, definitely get used to it before you come out here. Sometimes I cannot distinguish if it's the wind or the river, but every now and then it gets quiet enough to where I can definitely hear a river down there. I read somewhere that the coastal redwoods that are found not only here, but also in Oregon, it's one of a couple of the only places that you can find them in the world. So it's pretty unique. What's really interesting about them is they have high fire resistance. So they are not as susceptible to burning. They can still burn, but it takes a lot more to burn them. And they live a really long time. They're one of the oldest species of living trees that can grow. So they're ancient. It looks like we reached the Ventana campground. It's just right past over there. The only drawback about this one is it's about a mile of switchbacks, which I'm sure it's nice, but if I continue up ahead for a little bit more, there'll be a little bit more not out of the way. It won't be as out of the way as this one, so I think I'm going to continue on. It's easy to lose track sometimes how big things are in perspective to you. You think you're big and then you stand up to one of these trees and you just feel so tiny. It's become a lot more shaded here. This is way more shade than I'm used to dealing with. I'm used to the sun just beating down. This is a nice change of pace. Just have about 3.5 hours of daylight left. I'm hoping that's enough time to get to camp and get set up. I also hope that there's a couple of trees I can hang off of. I'm also worried about the trees being too thick for my setup. I'm not using straps, I'm using a whoopee sling. So that's a brand new suspension that I got from Dutchware Gear. Quite honestly, not sure how it's going to work out, but we'll find out. I could really use some food about now. I just really haven't seen an opportunity for a spot to set up, so I'm keeping a lookout for that. The elevation hasn't been super bad. It's just been a lot of ups and downs, curves, and these little hollows, inlets, whatever you call them. And it's gotten quite a bit cooler, quite a bit more cold than we did at the start. To be expected, we're at a slightly higher elevation. These little, I call them little tree caves. They get so dark. It's kind of cool to see they just overgrow the trail. I don't know who does trail maintenance on this, but so far they've done a great job. Haven't had any downed trees or anything really. Not like that last time I was in the Chesapeake. Just look how absolutely massive this tree is. This thing must be hundreds of years old. So thick. It's still growing even though it got damaged by fire. All of these. Wow. Look at all these mushrooms on this tree. It's starting to eat the wood. It's just nature's way of recycling. Looks like starting to lose elevation. We're headed down towards the river. I can hear it. There looks to be a unofficial campground. I might see what there is around here. Well, I may consider this one. Got the option of a nice fire pit here. And somebody was nice enough to leave some wood already gathered here. I just need to find a tree that's small enough for my hammock setup. I like the seclusion back here. Right next to a water source and a fire with wood already made, I definitely can't pass that up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay here tonight. We have this place all to ourselves, nice and secluded. I couldn't ask for more. Today I'm gonna be using my Loft-Tech jacket by Outdoor Vitals rather than my Montbell, which is down. The reason why I'm using this synthetic jacket is because it might rain out here, and this Loft-Tech, which is the synthetic filler, does better, and it will still keep heat in even if it's wet. We're gonna see how it does out here. This is my new hammock from Dutchware Gear, and I'm really excited because this is a little bit lighter than my dream hammock, and it's going to be interesting comparing the two. For years I've used my dream hammock. This is the very first time I've ever set up this, so we'll see how easy it is to set up, and I think I got two good trees to give this a good first setup. Hopefully it actually works. I don't have to sleep on the ground tonight. It took a little bit of adjusting, and I almost panicked. We finally got it set up. This is the Whippy Hook. It's a great system, and it works. The only problem is, what I was dealing with this tree over here, these two are way too skinny, and you have to feed them into itself on a strap. When you have two good-sized trees, it doesn't really matter. However, if you have two really small ones, it doesn't work out as well. So this one over here was big enough, thankfully. These are the titanium Dutch clips, and thanks to these I was able to extend and use this big redwood, beautiful redwood tree. Overall, I'm a huge fan of it. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. Other than that, I mean, it's not too bad. And these are really cool here. These are the little Dutch beaners. They're so small. I have no worries that this is going to be able to keep me warm tonight and be a good setup with the new hammock. Getting the under quilts put on, and what's really nice is it came with these little holders, which this is essentially this will keep the underquilt from slipping off under you, and therefore getting you colder. So big fan of this. Thanks, Dutch. This allows you to make sure everything keeps you warm at night. Can't wait to test this out. I also, this time, because I'm using my 3/4 quilt, I brought a little pad that I'm going to stick under my feet, and that will feel a lot warmer than last time. I think I'm going to get the tarp set up because there's a good wind coming in. It's like almost like a wind tunnel, and I definitely want to block as much of that as I can. Now I'm going to use my titanium shepherd's hook tent stakes to stake down this tarp that I set up. I got shelter set up for the night. Now, time to make some food and maybe even get a little fire going. Let's dig into that food, shall we? What's on the menu tonight? Usually, I get some backpacking meals. However, I'm going to be doing some stove toppers. These are a lot cheaper than backpacking meals. On the menu tonight we got creamy garlic shells. Probably 2 of these, to be honest. Tired my aluminum windscreen because it kind of kept blowing away last time. So I got this new Vargo aluminum windscreen. It's a little bit heavier. Probably block a little bit better than what I was using before. so we'll test this out. I really couldn't ask for better weather. I was really concerned. I didn't know if it was going to be raining. There was a big threat of rain, but it looks like it's just partly cloudy. And maybe even get a fire tonight. It'd just be amazing, beautiful time out here by myself. While that's cooking, I'm gonna give myself a little treat. Do a little bit of a Rice Krispies treat, and let this cook a little bit more because nobody likes crunchy noodles. We got some Rice Krispies and M&Ms tonight as a appetizer. Oh yeah, these are a lot better. You have to wait for the sauce to thicken a little bit. There's nothing like hot food in the woods. Now, I'll give it to the East Coast for the White Mountains, but I mean, this is just so cool. Being surrounded by these ancient tall trees and this flowing river right next to me. You really can't beat it. Now, the only thing that sucks is it kind of leaves a mess on the bottom if you use the stove toppers. Benefit, it's cheaper, but you just have to be extra careful. You just have to do a little more dishes with this, that's all. I'm gonna attempt to have a campfire tonight. This is the first one I've made since, it's been a long time since I've done a campfire. So hopefully we can get one started. I got a little, I'm no fire expert, but I do have a little kindling going right here. Once I can get this going, I'll have some medium-sized logs, and I don't plan to have a fire all night, but it'll just be kind of cool to get a little warm before I hop in my quilts and fire up my alcohol stove again to have my second dinner. Well, I should call it actual dinner because the first one was lunch. This one is actual dinner now. I was able to get small little fire going. Let's see how long I can keep it. Nothing like a fire. It's just so relaxing. I love the smell of a campfire. That makes a world of difference. My hands are so warm. So I took advantage of the extra daylight that I had to hang up my bear bag. I tried the PCT method, which I'm not used to doing since coming from the East Coast and everything. But the PCT method is basically, so the bears out here have gotten, and I mean I'd say even the bears on the East Coast, they've gotten too smart. They figured out how to just slash the knot that you tie to the tree usually, and they have easy access to food. So now we have to use the PCT method, which basically it has a little toggle on the on the string, and there'll be like freestanding rope basically at the end, and you tie it up, it just toggles onto itself, and they can hit it, swipe it all they want, and they're not going to be able to get it. So it's good news. I already have it rigged up. I've had a bad habit of not doing it until like the end when it's super dark, and that just doesn't ever work out. You can't really see what you're doing, and then you end up doing like an inadequate bear hang, and it's just not worth it. It's better to set it up, make sure that it's good, because you don't want to have any bears in your camp. You don't want any critters sleeping with you. I better wear my glove. I burned my hand off one time doing this. You don't realize how hot the wires get. That Alfredo rice and broccoli starting to smell good. Temperature is dropping. I can feel it, and yeah, this feels amazing. There's all kinds of techniques that people use when they're through hiking. I think one guy on the Appalachian Trail one year, he just ate like a McDonald's menu. He ate nothing but Big Macs the entire time. I don't know who it was. I don't know what year it was. But there's like, people do all kinds of things. I think there was one dude on the Appalachian Trail that even just ate like cake frosting or something. It's crazy. People be wilding out there on the AT. I want to do it someday though. I want to do the AT someday, and it'd be awesome to do all 3 trails. I will get to a time and place in my life where I can do that. At the end of the day, just have to make it happen. Gotta just go and do it. Let's try some of this cheesy rice. Well, all there is to do now is enjoy the fire, filter some water, and hang my food bag. This fire really, it sets the ambience of this whole trip. I'm using my Katadyn Be-Free filter. It's nice not having to carry like way more water than you have to. This, I pretty much have a unlimited supply of water. I can hydrate. And be good to go for the morning. Woo! That one exploded everywhere. There's little air pockets in there. I just absolutely love the sound of a crackling fire. I had a buddy I went hiking with in New Hampshire, and it was his first time ever. We decided to do Mount Kerrigan. And for any of you guys know, Mount Kerrigan's on one of the 4,000 footers. It's definitely not an easy one, and on our way there we ended up getting lost. We ended up hitting the peak, but we saw a giant rainstorm, giant thunderstorm on its way to come get us, and we were like, oh shoot, and we started running back down to our camp that we luckily set up camp beforehand so that just in case we could take shelter, have a shelter. The minute we got back to our shelter with our hammocks under our tarp, it just opened up, downpoured everything, and we ended up getting pretty cold despite that, and we got a fire going. And this reminds me a lot about that. Reminds me of camping in New Hampshire. But we definitely lost the sun. It's getting darker. I think while I still have some light, I'm gonna go and hang my bear bag up. Got my food secure. I'm trying the PCT method with the toggle. Hopefully that'll stay up and I did it right. Well, I think that does it for me. I'm gonna get ready for bed. And I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, everybody. It's currently raining. It's been raining all night, really. But I've come to a decision. I've been trying to wait for this thing to stop. I probably plan to chill here a little bit. It's really cold and rainy. Not that I couldn't deal with hiking in that, because I could keep all my stuff dry, but why get cold and wet when you could stay dry and warm? I'm just gonna chill here and wait for a break in the rain so that I can go get my food. I hope it's still there. Last night it was really quiet. I just heard the stream and a couple planes fly overhead. I guess this is an area where planes route through, probably on their way to either San Francisco, or there's an air base or something where they do exercises. It's just past 8 o'clock and I'm loving this campsite. I'm dealing with a lot of cold and a lot of rainy weather on this trip. This tarp did an excellent job at keeping me dry. At some point late last night, probably around 1 or 2 a.m., I had to go out and adjust the tarp to be a little bit wider by 1 or 2 inches because the rain started to creep in and get all my gear wet. So I'm glad that I woke up for that, because that could have been a really bad day. I'm using my 40-degree top quilt and my 30-degree under quilt. Okay, so I got my shoes on. There seems to be just a little bit of a break in the rain. So now I'm gonna go get my food from that corner over there. Hopefully it's still there. It's cold, it's rainy, I'm starving for breakfast, and I'm gonna get going on this hot coffee. Yeah, the toggle slipped up a little bit. I have my little foam sit pad that I can use to sit on, even though the ground's wet. All night, I kept a little bit of fuel in my pocket to keep warm, so it's easier to light in the morning. It's got a lot darker. It's actually starting to rain more, so I'm gonna set this up back under the tarp. Now that I've moved back under the tarp, of course it stops raining, but we're just gonna make coffee under here. It's a little bit drier, less chance of getting soaked. I'm going to enjoy some nice hot coffee. This is a technique I learned right from James. It's called ghetto oatmeal. My buddy James, if you're watching this, thank you. Just save yourself some dishes. You pour the water right in the oatmeal bag and stir it around and you're good. Look at that. Doesn't leak at all. This is my do-it-yourself Reflectix koozie with some duct tape. It really insulates it and you can drink right out of it. Now that breakfast is done, I'm just gonna do a little bit of hygiene. And the way I like to brush my teeth out here is I use these little tiny capsule things. This is by a company called Bite, and it stands for Because It's the Earth. I really like using these because it saves you a couple ounces on your carrying a whole toothpaste container. And the other neat thing is they include a little mini toothbrush. It's a little bamboo toothbrush. And what's cool about this is at home you have the full handle. When you go backpacking or traveling, you can just take half of it. So I really like that. It's awesome. Good job, Bite. I think I'm gonna get down on the road early tomorrow, so I'm gonna want to be just a little bit closer to the trailhead than I am right now. I'm gonna get everything packed up and get everything on the trail to find a new home tonight. I am all by myself in the woods. It is absolutely stunning out here. I am all packed up and just gonna head down the trail, grab my bear bag line, and we'll be off. This is one of the better bear bag lines that I've done, but I just need to refine my PCT method a little bit better. It was hanging, but not as quite high as I wanted it to be. I got my bear bag line and I'm ready to head up towards Ventana. We are headed back up this trail towards Ventana. So it looks like at the higher elevations they got a little frosting. It's kind of hard to see from here, but a little snow at the higher elevations. Glad we didn't have any of that. I'm gonna miss these little forest tunnels. Reminds me of the East Coast a little bit. windy, cold, and rainy again. Very few moments of sun, and then cold, wet, and rainy. The weather's been very cool so far. Can't imagine today that it'll break above 55. It is definitely milder weather than I'm used to. I'm starting to see a lot more day hikers and people coming out for the weekend. Camped down in that little cove there towards those taller trees last night. This place is absolutely beautiful. We should be coming up on that new campground I was talking about. We have to zigzag down into this river again. I'm already looking forward to lunch. Ventana camp. Now we just have about a mile of switchbacks. Probably gonna take like an hour to get down. So let's see what lies ahead. This trail is a little more overgrown, less populated, off the beaten path. I'm not sure if this sees as much traffic as the other one. The trail that I was on the Pine Ridge Trail, was already very narrow. It's very difficult to have two people go across. This one is even more narrow, and as you can see, there's not much space between you and the ridge. But we're slowly getting down into the forest, and I'm looking forward to see what it looks like down here. Wow, you could totally fit in there. Or at least part of the tree is still alive. Well, I found myself an excellent little campsite tonight. Great fire pit. It's amazing right there. And this awesome tree covered in moss. And it even opens up a little bit more to where I can get some star action. I really hope I can get some stars tonight. This is a lot earlier than I usually arrived at camp, so I can concentrate on getting some firewood collected. It'll be a little hard because everything's wet, but we can do our best and get a little fire started. So over on this side, I gave myself a little extra headroom by pulling one of these tie-out points. Just tied it along to this tree here. And as you can see, underneath, it gives you a little extra headroom off to one side. I'm set up at camp, and I'm gonna get some lunch started. More creamy garlic shells. I'm gonna love these. It's absolutely amazing at what a little cat can do. Just make a stove, and before you know it, you got lunch. So I have an assortment of small sticks, medium sticks, and working up to these big logs. These are gonna be like my Yule log that I'm gonna burn tonight. I already got started while I was letting my noodles soak. So now I'm gonna go back out while I still have some daylight and work on my piles here, try to get them a little bit bigger. Right behind me is the river. We camped by this river last night, and it's just truly phenomenal. You could probably go swim here in the summer. I'm not gonna do any swimming personally, but Maybe another time once it's hotter out. I'm standing here by the water's edge, and I noticed when I was gathering some firewood, there are some footprints. That's my footprint. And if you look close to here, there's a indentation. 1, 2, 3, 4, and like a big paw print. So yeah, could definitely tell it was drinking right at the water's edge here, right where I'm standing. Just have to be wary of their presence. They could like to come out right about now, actually. Know that they're there, respect them, and I'm definitely gonna get this fire going. Typically being around the water's edge gives you a lot of opportunity to see wildlife, and whether it be deer or other local animals, so it's pretty cool. I have a really good start to my fire and should have enough to last for at least a little bit. My favorite part of the day is dusk, being at camp. I absolutely love watching the fading of the golden light in these upper hills. Now that all my camp chores are done, I'd say it's just about dinner time. And on the menu tonight is some more core cheddar broccoli rice. You can start to hear animals get more active during this time of day. I can feel the air getting cooler, and a little bit after dinner, I'm definitely gonna get this fire started. I got my rice cooking in my koozie here. I just zipped it up to let it cook the meal. I have this little bottle of hand sanitizer that I think I'm gonna try to get this going. Well, I tried my best and I gave it a valiant effort, but I am unable to get a fire started. So wood is just too wet right now for anything to ignite. Try a little hand sanitizer, and even if I use the rest of my fuel, it's not going to get that to light. It's okay. Whoever comes here next will be able to have a nice little fire. It's already ready for you. You just have to come here and enjoy it. So please enjoy. Hopefully you can get it started, because I definitely couldn't. I'm just enjoying the last of the light. There's a brilliant golden light coming through the trees, and I'm just absorbing it all until we hit nightfall. I definitely have to come back to this place again. There's just so much to see and so little time to do it. I'm going to wake up early in the morning and be on the road. I wish you all a pleasant evening. I'm gonna head to bed early, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. I slept really well last night. It is pretty cold. It's not below freezing, but it's either in the low 40s or high 30s. This 40-degree quilt was a great idea. Had it have gotten any colder, I might have wanted to bring a 30-degree quilt. And the other piece of gear that I brought was that little foam pad. It creates a little shelf that you put your feet on. That made a huge difference again last night, keeping my feet warm, preventing heat loss through conduction. It was a great night. Lots of weird noises coming from everywhere. But as usual, in the bewitching hour of the forest, but it was really peaceful. The stream sound was beautiful. Woke up a couple times. Didn't see any stars. There were a lot of clouds. Overall, great night and ready to get on the road. I'm not going to have breakfast at camp today. Almost done breaking down camp. I just have my hammock left. I already got the tarp and everything packed up. Now it's just a matter of getting some warmth back into my fingertips because they're freezing cold. While I warm up, I'm just enjoying the scenery out here. It's absolutely peaceful and gorgeous. I'm the only one out here. This is just amazing that I have all of this to myself. The water looks like it's getting a nice boil. Now that I'm the first one on this trail because there's so many spider webs. So many spider webs in my way this morning. All on the face. So last night, our camp was right down there in that gorge. We've already come up quite a bit from there. This is such a magnificent view. We are slowly making our way up to the top of this mountain. I'd say we're about halfway up. Can't quite see it, but I believe in that direction is the ocean. And we finally made it up. That was just a maze of spider webs. Every switchback, it just like spider web right in my face. But we were rewarded with a great, fantastic view right behind me. I'm gonna take a nice little water break and then get started back on the 2-hour journey to the parking lot. The weather's just so nice out here. Haven't seen too many people, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of these views. It's just been an amazing morning, lots of birds chirping, Lots of bird sounds I've never even heard of before. Whoa. Does anybody know what these they look like little pulley things. They're attached to the tree. To me it looks like something you run a cable through, or maybe a zip line. I can see roads again, so that must be meaning that we are getting closer to civilization. This has been a really fun trip. And we made it to the beginning of the trail. It was a long hike to get here, but we're back to the point where I got lost. Now we go straight this way, and the car is just up a hill. I'm making my way back up this last hill. It's funny that I got lost at the beginning, but it made me enjoy the trail that much more. Had to work just a little bit extra to get to the start of it. And we made it back to the car. Appreciate you guys coming along. Until next time, I'm Adam, and I'll see you guys on the next adventure.